الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. The Honorable President of the Prince of Songkhla University, Patani, the organizers of this conference, distinguished scholars and speakers, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and very good afternoon to our non-Muslim brothers and sisters. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this conference and giving me the chance to see the great development in this university. The last time I was here was maybe about 20 years ago, and that was in the old building when Dr. Ismail Ali was the director. And since then, mashallah, this is a great development indeed. I'm very happy to be here, alhamdulillah. Because of the time constraint, I will try to complete this within 20 minutes. And perhaps I don't need a reminder from the speakers. I'll try to limit my time, inshallah. Because what I'm going to speak is something that all of you know already. In fact, my good colleague, Fadilatul Sheikh Dr. Ismail Lutfi, had already touched on it. And he started with the verse, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. صدق الله العظيم. And I'm going to just stress the importance of understanding this concept of wasatiyah, practicing it, especially in the context of a Muslim minority in Thailand. And so let me just go to the second. Why do we need to understand the concept of wasatiyah? I mentioned here that we are now living in an era of turbulence and turmoil. And you have, of course, Islamophobia in Europe. European immigrants are being seen as a threat to turn Europe into Eurabia. And then we have all kinds of labels for the Muslims: political Islam, spiritual Islam, transnational Islam, moderate Islam, liberal Islam, progressive Islam. Now, Muslim preachers have talked about the Muslims being the best ummah. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. We all know that. But we do not make this part of wasatiyah. Whereas, to my mind, khairiyah is part of wasatiyah. And that is because in our traditional education, we talk of, in Malay language, dalam bahasa Melayu, ilmu tauhid, halal haram, ilmu ibadat, ilmu akhlak, atau ilmu tasawuf. Dan kita tekan soal, or we emphasize fardu ain in our religious education. So we forget about khairu ummah, we forget about ummah wasat. And in the meantime, we have the emergence of Muslim militant or sectarian groups, such as the Shia in Sunni territories, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Australia, New Zealand. This is creating problem within the Muslim community. Of course, after 9/11, we have this war on terror, and the term moderation began to be used by Western leaders. But people do not know what is the real meaning of moderation. So we start with this verse from the Quran, and thus we have made you a just community that will be witnesses over the people, and the messenger will be a witness over you. I think we all know this. The first important pillar of wasatiyah is justice, in order to become witnesses over mankind. And we are asked to practice justice even against our own selves. And second is excellence, or moral, spiritual excellence and overall goodness, or al-khairiyah, from the verse, kuntum khairu ummatin ukhrijat linnas. And the third pillar of al-wasatiyah is what is called either i'tidal or tawazun. Al-i'tidal bayna al-ifrat wa al-tafrit. That is to say, balance between excessiveness on the one hand and laxity on the other hand. Some examples of this balanced quality, we can see about, this is more on economic balance in economic life and communication, balance in personal conduct and behavior, balance between dunyawi and ukhrawi needs, peaceful relationship with others. The Muslims in Thailand are living in a country with non-Muslim majority, and Allah wants us to have good relationship with other people. Of course, there are exceptions, but that is the only exception that we need to worry about. Balance in economic consumption, balance in propagation. Also, another meaning or connotation al-wasatiyah is al-istiqamah, or straightness. And another meaning is al-quwwah, and you need to be strong. And this I've taken from al-khasa'is al-amma lil-Islam. But the concern today is with extremism, al-ghulu fi ad-din. And scholars have talked about this a long time before. And the Prophet ﷺ emphasizes the importance of finding the right balance, al-i'tidal bayna al-tafrit wal-ifrat. Okay, this is just a small picture just to depict my simple understanding of al-wasatiyah. I call it the wasatiyah structure. Wasatiyah, excellency, can be translated as justly balanced quality. Okay, a justly balanced quality. And in the middle is justice. On the right side is balance or moderation, i'tidal, and tawazun. In the middle is adl. And on the left side, excellence and goodness, that is khairiyah. And all these three are interrelated. They cannot be separated. And with this, inshallah, we get the well-being from the Almighty, with the barakah, ridwan, rahmah, tawfiq from Allah. But they have to be based upon iman, ilm, and taqwa. So if we can understand this and try to, our teachers of Islam, our lecturers, can explain this to the Muslim ummah in, say, in Thailand or in the Philippines, or that we need to be excellent. We need to have the moral excellence, also the intellectual excellence. And this is where education plays a very, very important role. But we need also to be very just to other people, giving the rights to others as well to ourselves. And we need to strike a balance between excessiveness, the tendency to be excessive on the one hand, and the tendency to be lax on the other hand. Now, one of the books that I've referred to is the book by Sheikh Yusuf Al-Qaradawi, which was written in 2002. This is الصحوة الإسلامية من المراهقة إلى الرشد. That is to say, the renaissance of Islam from the period of immaturity to the period of maturity. And he suggested that in trying to establish this wasatiyah structure, we should emphasize taysir rather than ta'sir in giving of fatwa, and also tabshir in Islamic propagation. We should also combine these principles of the Salafiyya for renewal with the authenticity of the past and also contemporary requirements, that is al-asala and al-mu'asara. We also need to balance between permanent principles and changing conditions. This morning we had several people talking, including Professor Sanu Qutub, on this mutaghayyirat and al-thawabit. And number 4, the importance of relating religious duties with the social realities. And this is something that's very, very important to understand al-waqi', the social reality, because we have to practice within a political, socio-cultural context. And then we have to also be able to engage in dialogue and coexistence, at-ta'ayush, al-hiwar, and practicing at-tasamuh with those who differ. And number 4, the numbering is wrong. Adopting the principles of consultation, ashura, and justice, al-adala, and freedom of the people, hurriyatul al-shu'ub, and also practicing human rights. And number 7, being just to women, al-insaf lin-nisa. And number 8 is presenting Islam as risala hadariya. And this is from his book, As-Sahwat al-Islamiyya, min al-murahaqa ila al-rushd. Now, at the end, I would like to make some recommendations for scholars in Thailand, and also for Islamic religious institutions, universities and schools, and for teachers to consider doing some research. For instance, we can do some research on the wasatiyah of Sharia Islamiyya, or the justly balanced nature of Sharia Islamiyya, but we have to compare the ideals and the realities and make a study of the gap. So there has to be a study of what is the gap between ideals that we talk about and the realities on the ground. And all this, I think, is part of self-reformation and also muhasabah and nafs. The justly balanced nature of Islamic aqidah, and again comparing the ideals and the realities. Because we have the ideals, we preach the ideals, but our reality is far removed from the ideals. So how do we narrow the gap between ideals and realities? Also, we can talk about the justly balanced nature of Islamic civilization, hadara Islamiyya, and again compare the ideals with the realities. This morning also, Sheikh Dr. Ismail Lutfi talked about the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah in Thailand, and how do we present this Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah as a manifestation of wasatiyah, of this justly balanced nature of the Muslim Ummah. Again, comparing the ideas with the realities of governance, the Islamic economy, Islamic political culture, Islamic culture and entertainment. And just now, our Sheikh from Jordan talked about the miserable situation of the Muslim family and the Muslim community, and then the internal and external threats to wasatiyah of Islam. In the university context, perhaps you can consider those of you in this university, in the College of Islamic Studies, and also the university as a whole, can do some research on the justly balanced nature of Islamic governance again comparing the ideals and the realities. Sheikh Ismail Lutfi talked about ummah wahida. That's the ideal. But on the ground, we have many different groups, and he referred to that. So how do we have to study this, and how can we bring a closer, how can we narrow the gap between this ideal reality of ummah wahida and the reality which is far from satisfactory? We can look into Islamic education, tarbiyah Islamiyah, how tarbiyah Islamiyah represents also al-wasatiyah, the balance, the justly balanced nature. All this can be published, studied, and we can circulate first among the Muslims, because we are supposed to be shuhada ala nas. Allah makes us ummatan wasata. He did not stop at ummatan wasata nuqta, but ummatan wasata litakunu shuhada ala nas. So we have to remember it is to become shuhada ala nas. And we cannot become shuhada ala nas unless we have those three qualities: moral, spiritual excellence, justice, and balance. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.